like, I'm not going to have one ring. I'm going to get 2 rings. Patriots 2018 first round draft pick. Sony, I've been your girl for a long time. I've been supporting the Sony Michel vibes for a long time. And you have been so incredible and fun to watch. Patriots, Rams, Chargers. How have you been?
I've been good. Definitely grateful, been blessed, been at peace. Just living life, right? That's all we can do.
I mean, yeah, I would say at peace is the goal, right? That's amazing. Where do you keep those 2 rings, Sony?
I actually keep them, hidden. You know, I do bring them out a little bit more often now. I started a podcast, 2 rings, 1 mic. So I kind of have them on display as I'm running the show. So I do bring them out a lot. And I feel like, because I always thought to myself, how often would I really bring out these rings, right? If I'm
Yeah.
not going to like a special event, I won't really bring them out. So I thought, what a great time to bring them out.
I think either Trey Smith or Creed Humphrey, I was down in like Frisco at a workout and one of them had the rings, the Chiefs rings, like in their backpack. And I was like, that's crazy. That is too crazy. But 2 rings, 1 mic. We love it with Sony Michel taking over the media world. Listen, we're mid off season. Okay. I want to get to some NFL topics here. The Cowboys, I don't know, did you see this? Let me show you. They're learning like Greek dances with Coach Schottenheimer. Okay. This is not something that I expect to see. This is like Coach Schotty, who was there last year, of course. How much does this matter? If you're a fan, if you're an analyst and you're like, wow, they're really vibing. Micah Parsons is playing TikTok trends with him. Like, I think Coach Schottenheimer's not getting enough love. How much does that matter?
It matters a lot because you're talking about team bonding. Now you get to learn a little bit more about guys outside of football. Who's the weak link? Who has natural skills in just certain things. And Coach Schottenheimer, I had some time, I spent some time with him back in college at Georgia. So I know his style and he believes in, bringing the team closer together. And I think, he's going to do great, this is his first year as a head coach with the Cowboys. But, that right there was pretty interesting. And I'm sure they had a lot of great laughs.
I'm sure they did too. I'm trying to think like, I don't know, like you won a ring with the Patriots. I can't imagine there was a lot of Greek dancing happening. What was the best, how would you describe the team bonding with the New England Patriots under Belichick in that time?
So the team bonding, it was actually interesting. It was better than what people would think, right? Because people think the Patriot way, people think it was super strict. There was times where we went paintballing as a team. And I thought it was pretty cool because Bill actually did it too. So everybody made sure they went after him and he knew it. So he was hiding behind the little floaty balloon thing, trying to hide from players because they knew, players knew that was their chance to get Bill back. So we did that. And I thought that was pretty cool. And most people didn't know because we didn't really Instagram it. We didn't really put it out for the media to see because it kind of would have been bigger than what it needed to be.
You're telling me that y'all took shots. Did you hit Bill Belichick with a paintball? No way. No way.
No, I didn't. I didn't because at the time I actually didn't participate. I actually was spectating. And I thought I actually liked the view that I had because, I was able to see the whole thing in action and seeing guys attacking. They had a whole plan. Like they were sending guys to
Who's
right,
attacking?
sending
Who's
guys
the
to the
leader?
left.
Who's the Rufio, King of the Lost Boys, Peter Pan going after Hook? Who is that?
It's hard to come off the top, but because that was about 4 years ago. So you're talking about, every team, so there may be like 5 different teams and each group had to eventually play against each other. And Coach Belichick was on his own team. So every team that got a chance to go against Coach, they already knew who they were going after.
I just can't even picture him in the gear. But I guess nobody knew. There's a lot of things we don't know about Bill Belichick, outside of what's going on. Well, we'll leave that for 2 rings, 1 mic. Let's take a trip down memory lane, Sony. You scored the only touchdown on a pretty boring Super Bowl 53. Not for you. For me at home a little bit, I can admit it. What were you thinking when you scored here with 7 minutes left in the fourth?
It was an awesome experience. You're talking about the reason why it was boring because there was a lot of NFL greats in that game on both sides of the ball. So it was kind of hard to move the ball either way it goes. The Rams were it was hard for the Rams to move the ball, and it was hard for us to move the ball, but we were getting those tough yardage. So the moment I got a chance to score that touchdown, it was almost like, okay, we finally got on the board. And it was almost a surreal moment for me being a rookie and getting that opportunity. I was very grateful.
Yeah, I would say the Patriots should be grateful too. It wasn't even just that game. By the way, the only game I think in Super Bowl history that only had one touchdown scored, it was yours. I think Gronk had like one catch, and it was like the only time I got out of my seat was like whatever that 30-yarder down the sideline, and then there was your touchdown. But it wasn't just the Super Bowl. It really I look at that year for Sony Michel as like such a special standout year for any running back. If you look at what you did, you don't get enough credit for it. You averaged 112 yards per game on the ground, six touchdowns in 3 playoff wins. This was a run-heavy team down the stretch. Brady, I mean, I don't know, you don't have to say, Brady does not get ring number 6 without you. He just doesn't.
And that's an awesome, it sounds good to think about it. And I'm very grateful for the guys that we had that year, because for me, being a rookie and being in that environment and being in a new phase of my life, I couldn't have been in that position, right? Did I do it alone? No, but I just was a piece of the puzzle. And I'm grateful enough that they welcomed me and allowed me to add value to the team. Man, you're talking about being surrounded by Tom Brady, Gronk, Julian Edelman, James White, Brandon Bolden, some of the OGs of the game that really was there along the way to help me, carry my way through the season, because that was a long season for me. Because as a rookie, we're not used to those long seasons. And having those guys around me kind of helped me get to that point.
I mean, it was unbelievable. I love Brandon Bolden. That was just such a great time for football. I feel like they never really trust rookies like that up in New England. So it meant a lot, I think, that you were the bell cow, that Bill trusted you, that Tom trusted you, and you, of course, earned it. Okay, I do want to talk a little bit about your bestie, though, your college teammate, Nick Chubb. Let's get into some NFL topics here. 1-year deal with the Texans, 7 years in Cleveland. What should I expect? What is it going to be like seeing him in Houston for you?
This is going to be like a clean slate for him. I spent the weekend with him. Actually, I was with him when he got the call. It was a super exciting moment for him, because he's a guy, and I spent a lot of time with him in college. He's a guy, he just needs a shot. He's not really flashy, as everyone knows. He don't talk a lot. It wasn't about the money for him. It was about giving him that one opportunity. And I think if Houston gives him a true, fair opportunity, he can be their lead back. Yes, they have Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon had a 1,000-yard season last year, and I think they will be able to complement each other. I like what the Houston Texans did with picking up Nick. I think they have a great team. C.J. Stroud at quarterback, a young quarterback, a team that has so much in their future, something to look forward to. I've already marked down a couple games. I know they're going out to L.A., me and Todd Gurley text, and we're trying to go to that game. So we're already trying to plan, because I just see what Houston is doing. The head coach, he's a former player, and he understands what it's going to take to get Houston over that hump.
Mixon and Chubb, I'm trying to figure out what that's going to look like. Is it like a 1-2 punch from if we're thinking about what, is it like double thunder lightning? Like, what does that look like?
I think it's, you got 2 lead backs in one backfield. So you're going to call it, 1A and 1B, right? Okay. Once one guy gets tired or one guy needs a break, you can throw in either guy. And when the game's on the line, you can't go wrong with either back. I think this is a year for Nick, to prove to everyone that he's still Nick Chubb. He's 29. I talked to him. He feels young again. Yes, he had a whole year. It wasn't the year he wanted to have, but he had a whole year to kind of get physically ready, mentally ready. And I think he's at a point now where he's ready to roll.
I mean, he broke his foot against the Chiefs week 15. But this is a guy, you were with him at Georgia when he had a big injury. Everyone, people thought it was going to be a career-threatening knee injury back at Georgia. You were with him this weekend. How is he? Like, how is he physically?
He's great. You're talking about being at peak shape, being ready to go. And we were talking about it. People see it all the time with him lifting all those heavy weights. And he don't post much. Sometimes he'll post those videos, but this guy, he always go home to Cedartown, the middle of nowhere, put his head down and go to work. So I expect nothing from great things out of Nick, and I'm sure he expects the same thing out of himself. And I'm excited to see it.
Love that. You played under Josh McDaniels, of course, up in New England. You've got Travion, Ramondre Stevenson, all of this going on. How do you think that that's going to work? How can he get the best out of those guys?
Josh McDaniels is the perfect coach to do it. He's a guy that understands talent. He's a guy that understands matchups. He was also known to be like an offensive coordinator genius. So he's going to make it work. They did a great job this offseason. I'm excited to watch the Patriots signing Stephon Diggs, getting some more explosive weapons around him, drafting an offensive lineman at number 4, number 6 pick, whatever pick they had, to protect Drake May, a guy that's going into his second year, got some experience last year. And we're talking about the backfield, right? Travion Henderson, Ramondre Stevenson, we know what Ramondre can do. We would like to see him step it up a little bit this year. I'm sure everyone last year, he did a solid job, but we would just want to see a little bit more out of him. But I'm excited to see what Henderson can bring to the table. A guy that was super explosive at Ohio State. I liked him. I'll take it. I'll take it. That's very respectable. I actually had him at my number 1 pick for my top 5 guys that went into the NFL draft. I had him at 1. I had the guy at the Chargers number 2, and I had Genty at 3, which most people had Genty at number 1. But Travion Henderson, because here's what stood out to me about him, his pass protection game. And when he's blocking for that quarterback, he's doing a dominant job. And even when he was like lead blocking, I seen some great things on tape.
You played with Justin Herbert in LA, part of the Chargers. Tough playoff loss in Houston. There's this whole, is he clutch? Can he handle the big game? Obviously, they added some run support this offseason as well. Did you feel that when you were there, that there was a question about his big game potential? Or I would ask you this, what is your question about Justin Herbert? What is a fair question?
Okay, I'll say this. I think the only question that I would have is, can Justin Herbert really step out of his shell? Because he's predominantly a quiet guy. Can he step out of his shell and bring the guys around him, their level of play up? Because I think what it is, he's a talented quarterback. I mean, he has the mindset, he has the skill set. But I think when it comes to clutch moments, a quarterback has to make the guys around him believe that anything is possible. He has to be vocal about it, throughout the entire season. And it's time for him. I understand there's so many question marks because they expected this out of him for years now. So I think this is the year, and I think he probably can get it done.
Who is the best at that? Part of me is like, does that really matter? Just do your job, Patriots, if you're that, do you really need the rah-rah in a clutch moment from this? Why does that matter? Why can't he be a quiet quarterback? But can you explain that a little bit for me?
So when you have a guy next to you like Tom Brady, right, it's a privilege. And it's a privilege to be in the game with the guy. And clutch moments, if you ever watch Tom Brady, he's only throwing it to certain guys. And because they've been consistent throughout the season, they're trustworthy, and they've practiced those reps over and over. And for a guy to come in, they want to earn the quarterback's trust. Because when it comes to clutch moments, if I only, as a quarterback, if I only have to give it to one guy and that's the only guy that I trust, then that's who I'm giving it to. So as a quarterback, you don't have to be talking all the time, but you may have to step in certain situations to let guys know, hey, I need you to step it up. I remember we had a game and it was a 4th and 1 play and I didn't get it. It was a short yardage play and I didn't get it. I was jogging off the field thinking everything was all right. I'll get another opportunity. And Tom Brady let me have it. He told me that was unacceptable. We got to have those, that could have been a game-changing play in his mind. So just those words basically reminded me that every play that I get matters. I may not get the opportunity again.
Sony, the show is over, but you can hear more from Sony Michel. 2 rings, 1 mic on YouTube. Just great job. Congrats on everything. Hopefully talk soon.
Appreciate you.
Bye, Sony.